Good morning, folks, and welcome back to Wishwell Farms. Today we are picking cole crops, and on our farm that means broccoli and cauliflower. I no longer grow cabbage. And we're going to start the day off with a little bit of bell pepper picking. Maybe I should say morning glory picking. No, we're not picking the morning glories, but you can see it is a patch of morning glories out here, and the bell peppers are far and few between. They have pretty much run their course. All the red ones that were big and beautiful just a couple weeks ago are all pretty much rotten or have bad spots, enough bad spots on them that they're no longer marketable. So now kind of what we're looking for are green ones that were small a couple weeks ago that are starting to size up. So the best peppers out here now are the ones that are kind of mixed colors or pure green. So we're just trying to get a couple tubs to extend our season selling peppers at least for one more week. And as soon as we finish up these bell peppers, we will be heading over to pick broccoli and maybe cauliflower. We might save the cauliflower for tomorrow, but we're at least going to get the broccoli taken care of today. This time of year, late in the season, we start getting a lot of little green ones that are coming on that aren't big enough yet. And they might make it before frost if we have a late frost. But if we have an early frost, which can happen in early October, it will fry all the peppers and the season will be over for pepper harvest. There's still some decent ones out here. Actually, that's really nice. It's like the best one I've seen this morning. So the best ones are deep down under the plants and all the foliage and under the morning glories. They're kind of protected from the sun. But you can see there's still some nice ones out here. They're just really small. And then you think you're picking a good one, and this is what you get. You see all the splits and black spots. Yeah, shriveled up and wrinkled. They're just terrible. Every once in a while, you find some nice ones. You just gotta dig for them. Every once in a while, you find a hot spot with some good ones. Gotta dig through these darn morning glory vines to find them. Hopefully some of these small green ones will size up to at least that size. I would only consider that a medium-sized pepper, but if that's all we can get, that's what we'll take. You know, a normal harvest of bell peppers for us is like 15 to 30 tubs, depending on the time of the year. So yeah, we're hoping to get 8, but we might only get 2 or 3. It's definitely nearing the end. This is another thing we're seeing today. See those splits? Almost looks like slices. It's like the flesh has expanded from getting a shot of water too quickly. You know, even though I've been watering these for like 5 or 6 hours every other day during the drought, we got over 1.5 inches of rain over the last 3 or 4 days. 2 or 3 days? I forget. It didn't rain much yesterday, but the 2 days prior to that, it did rain. So some of these plants that may have been a little dry on like one side of the bed, because one side of the bed does get more irrigation from the drip tape than the other side, even though it's down the center. Seems like there's always one row, it's a little bit closer to the drip tape that gets more water than the other row. I think a lot of these plants soak up that rain really fast, especially the ones that are kind of hanging out on the edge of the aisleway, and it makes them split, kind of rupture. All right, we're out here in our broccoli patch. We're hoping to get about 25 of these 1 3/4 bushel tubs full for 3 farmers markets and our satellite trailer, so 4 markets. I'll give you a look at these heads and I'll show you how we harvest them. So we're finally starting to get some decent size. This size here we'll let get bigger for next week. There's a beauty. That is a good 6 inches across. This is the way most of them look today. That's what we want to harvest. So when we harvest these, I'll usually push down some of the branches, exposing the stalk, and we use a serrated blade knife. They're getting kind of dull, so sometimes you gotta saw a little bit. I'd prefer just to give them a quick hack. And then we snap off the branches, the big branches, I don't mind leaving a couple of little ones like that. And that's the minimum length we want to cut those. That should have been about an inch longer. I like to go for about 6 or 7 inches in length. And then we just stack them into our tub. We're going to make most of them stackable because we're going to have 25 to stack onto 2 different pallets. But the ones that end up on the top of the stack, those can obviously be rounded. So we will fill up about 6 of them to heaping full. Here's another beauty. I mean, that is just the perfect head of broccoli right there. It doesn't get much prettier. So there's what it looks like after I cut it. You can see all the leaves. They're massive leaves on them. Sometimes they're so thick you almost have to use the knife to cut the leaves off, but that's a slower process. I'd rather just snap them with my hands, and I'll leave those 2 little ones on there, and that is a head of broccoli ready for sale. This early variety over here, I can see how it's starting to like bolt already in the head there. So those aren't going to get much bigger. We might have to fix some of those mediums in that variety. You probably noticed I got my rain pants and boots on today. I was prepared for this wet mess. The broccoli leaves hold a lot of water. After a rain or a heavy dew, it's like there's little cupfuls of water, you know, cupped in the leaf, and then when you hit them or brush up against them, they'll spill out onto your leg and your boots and you get soaked. So here's what a full tub looks like. We're making them so they're just stackable. Sometimes the top few will get smashed just a little bit, not enough to damage them. Another full one there. We have a long ways to go. I planted approximately 1,400 broccoli plants out here, so most of those should get harvested. I know at the far end of the field, there's a rocky, dry hill where it was just junk dirt when we planted them, and the plastic ripped and blew up or something, and there's no good broccoli there. So I'm sure we'll get close to 1,000 heads out of here over the next 3 weeks, and then they'll pretty much be wrapped up. Now, in the past, even though broccoli was done and we're still harvesting the cauliflower, which is right here beside me, the side shoots will grow up on the broccoli, and I'll show that in a later video when that starts happening. So here's a harvested broccoli plant. And you can already see there's like a little one off the side here. It will grow numerous, like maybe even a dozen little side shoots, about that size or a little bit bigger. And if we're hurting for broccoli and we want some for a market to go with our cauliflower, we'll come through here and pick all these little side shoots and get a couple tubs, and we'll sell them in quart containers, kind of like we do our green beans and tomatoes. It works really good, but it's just a lot of work to get a large amount of broccoli side shoots compared to going through here and picking the main heads. And I don't really enjoy it. A lot of times it's really late in the season, you wake up to a frost, you have to wear rubber gloves or your hands will freeze while you're picking them. So we'll probably just pick these 1,000 good heads out of here and call it quits and finish up the season with the cauliflower. I just had the knife blade bend on me a little bit when I was sawing through there. I was like thinking how no one's ever gotten cut before. I don't think.
Never?
Yeah, now it's going to happen today. If you're wondering what the varieties of broccoli I grow are, I'll try to remember them real quick here. I'll put them up on a screen if I miss one or two. Green Magic. I think these are Green Magic. They're beautiful, but they do get big awfully quick, so you got to be on top of them. I used to grow a lot of Gypsy. Gypsy was always one of my favorite, but I quit growing it for some reason. I think they would get ripe too quick, and I'd always miss them, so I quit growing it. Maybe that's Green Magic, I can't remember. We grow Kingdom, Eastern Crown, and another Eastern something. I think I grow 4 varieties. I've grown dozens of different broccolis over the years, but those are the ones we've kind of settled on. And I'm seeing one over here now that I'm gonna make sure I don't grow again next year. I will let you know what my favorite varieties are and my least favorite varieties are. I'll either put it on the screen or I'll talk about it again later. Some of these heads are so huge.
It's like a lettuce. I feel like that was terrible to get.
Yeah. It's kind of like lettuce. Cauliflower is even worse. On big cauliflower, you can only get 6 in one of these tubs. Usually we can get 8 to 12. But on this broccoli, you know, the ones that are huge like this, I'm guessing we're getting 15 in a tub at most. It makes it hard to stack them when they're so big. Unless you only put like 10 or 12 in a tub. Yeah, this variety out here, these are nice. Really easy to cut the stalks. They're like really crispy and the branches are kind of skinny, so they're really easy to harvest. This is by far my favorite one. I'll put it up on the screen right now what this variety is. Branches are like tree trunks. All right, we have filled about 23 of our 25 tubs. Emma and I both have, oh, she's got 2 left down there. So about 22 tubs filled up, but we rounded most of them up. So by the time we break those down and make them stackable, we're probably gonna be pretty close to 30 tubs. So we definitely got plenty of broccoli for markets this Saturday. Now comes the chore of loading them all up, getting them up to the barn and stacking them on 2 pallets. You can look down through here and see the trail of destruction. All the branches. It's like made a covered walking path in the mud of all the branches we've torn off. Now we're just walking back slowly to the tractor, looking for some heads we may have missed that will be too big for next week. And I see one. I want to take that one. That one's big enough. I missed it. Oh man, there's a big one I missed. Yeah, that one's going to be too ripe like in a couple days. You can see how it's starting to get some light colored florets that are ready to sprout up out of the pretty dome head of broccoli. But still good enough. We'll take it. Man, I think I saw one more back here. Yeah, I probably better take that one too. Found a few that I missed.
Yeah, I did too.
It was a beast. All right, we're ready to load all this broccoli. It would definitely be nice to have a third person, having someone up on the wagon moving all these tubs over as we set full ones on the edge. They don't slide too well on that wagon. There's a lot of nails sticking up. We got a pile of them down through here to load. All right, we got all of our broccoli up here in the barn, and we're just offloading it onto 2 pallets. One for Worthington, one for Clintonville. Some of them are too full, so we're gonna have to knock the tops off of them to make them stackable so they don't all get smashed. And we're gonna save cauliflower for tomorrow. Give it one, whoa, about walked off the edge of the wagon. We're gonna give the cauliflower one more day to ripen up Hopefully there'll be a bunch of big heads out there for tomorrow. Purple, cheddar orange, and white. Well, good morning. We're back out here in the cole crop patch. If you're wondering what cole crops are, they're broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower, turnip greens, mustard greens, collard greens, things like that. We're currently picking cauliflower, and I am on the purple cauliflower. Emma's working on white. Then I'll go back up and pick orange or kind of yellowish orange cauliflower next, and then I'll help her finishing up picking the white. So there's not a lot of purple cauliflower yet. I got one tub, and we got a couple really nice heads right here. This one's almost big enough, but you know, we're taking the small ones today because, except that small. That one will wait till next week. It's actually kind of ugly. It might not even get harvested and sold. There's a beauty right there. That one's 6 to 7 inches across. This is a nice one. All right, the way I am going to harvest these cauliflower is pull back some of these large wrapper leaves, and I'm gonna take my knife. It's a serrated blade. That seems to work best for us for cutting cauliflower and broccoli. And they kind of are snappy. They just snap real easy. See how I cut that base really close to the cauliflower? You know, only an inch or two away. And I like it to be flat, so it sets flat on our table when we display it for sale. And then I'll take my knife and just carefully cut some of those longer wrapper leaves off. And that one is good to go. I was really hoping to get 20 to 25 tubs of cauliflower, but I don't think we're gonna have it. It just needs one more week. The weather is finally cooling down. That will really help increase the head size and the speed that these heads increase in size. So when we start getting some 40s at night, the cauliflower loves that. Highs in the 60s. All this hot, humid weather we had over the last few weeks, it kind of hurt the cauliflower. It really slowed it down and caused a little bit of ricing. I talked about what ricing is in the past video. It just looks like little hairs growing off the top of the curd. Let me see if I can see it on here. Yeah, I don't really see any ricing on the purple cauliflower, fortunately, but I did notice some on the white cauliflower. When I start picking the white and I see some, I'll show you what ricing looks like. These are really healthy right here. I actually see a nice big 9-inch cheddar cauliflower. That's the variety, cheddar. See, it looks just like cheddar cheese. That's a beauty. That's the way I want all of them to look like. See how it's almost the size of a small dinner plate. Oh, beautiful. Definitely not too many purple ones out here. Looks like I'm gonna end up with about 2 tubs, and then I'll come back and get all these cheddars picked, and then white. But I don't think we're gonna get 20 or 25, maybe a dozen. These cheddars are looking really nice. That one's a little small. A little bigger. That's more of your standard size you'd see at a grocery store, but for homegrown fresh market cauliflower, we like them to be even bigger than that. So I had some comments in the last video about what self-blanching, or do we grow self-blanching cauliflower? I call it self-wrapping, just because they have wrapper leaves that cover the curd, especially on white ones, so that they don't turn purple or yellow when the sun hits them. You know, if your weather's like this all the time, overcast and cloudy, you don't really have to worry about it. And you also don't have to worry about it on the orange, these cheddar cauliflower, or the purple ones, because they already have color. The sun doesn't affect them. So they're not necessarily self-blanching or have really good tight wrapper leaves around the cauliflower itself. So as you can see in this one, see how these are like the wrapper leaves. But now that this cauliflower is sizing up, you know, these leaves start to spread open because it's so big. That's a beauty. Look at that. 7 inches across. That is a nice cauliflower right there. That one needs another week. We're gonna go ahead and take that size. There's another beauty. And if you look over here at the next row where there's white ones, you can see how tight these leaves are. It almost looks like a cabbage down in there. These self-wrapping cauliflower varieties have leaves so tightly wrapped around the curd that it's gonna block out any sun from discoloring the curd. So I just found some perfect examples to show you of what good wrapper leaves look like around the cauliflower and what happens when it's exposed to too much sunlight. So here's one that is a little too mature and it got too much sun. Sometimes this happens to the early ones. The plants are a little bit stunted, so the curd starts growing faster than what the wrapper leaves can keep up with it, and it just stays exposed to the sunlight and it turns purple like that. And that you can see the florets are starting to spread apart and sprout up from the dome, the pretty dome top of the cauliflower. That one there, we're gonna take that one. That one doesn't have too much purple. I don't like to see any purpling, but that's very minimal amount, and that's a beautiful head of cauliflower right there. Now right here is a perfect example of what it looks like to have really good tight wrapper leaves around the cauliflower. See how it's completely covered with all these wrapper leaves? You gotta dig down in there to find it. But see right there, I don't know if the camera's picking that up, that little spot was exposed to the sunlight and it's already starting to turn purple a little bit. But we're definitely gonna take that one. That's a beautiful cauliflower. Oh, here's a beast. This is a nice one. That's how we typically like all of them to look. That's about an 8-inch head. Beautiful. Look at that beast.
Wow.
Customers always ask me, do these taste like cheddar cheese? And the answer is no. They taste almost identical to the white. Some people have said there might be a slight sweeter flavor to them, but yeah, no cheese flavor. I may have found the biggest one of the day. I think we got a 6-pound head here, 9 inches across. It's bigger than my head. Oh, we may have just topped the last big one I picked. About the same weight, 8 to 9 inches across. That is a beast. So I know I'm gonna get the question in the comments, why don't I grow cabbage? I grew cabbage for probably 12 or 15 years, but I'm guessing it's been over 8 years since I've grown it. I could sell a little bit of cabbage, but not a lot. Broccoli and cauliflower, 10 times more popular at our farm stands around Columbus, Ohio than cabbage. I could sell a dozen heads maybe, up to 20 heads at a good market. So it's so big and bulky, takes up so much space that we just decided to eliminate that from our market mix. I also grew turnip greens, mustard greens, and collard greens one year, and I could hardly sell the stuff. We used to have a market downtown Columbus called the North Market. It's one of the oldest farmers markets in the state of Ohio. It might be the oldest farmers market in Ohio. And there was a very diverse population there. And certain items like the collard greens, mustard greens, turnip greens did go decent there, but I could not sell them to save my life at some of these other neighborhoods around Columbus. So we eliminated that, as well as cabbage, and just sticking to the broccoli and cauliflower because that's what sells best for us. Loading up all our cauliflower. I think we got pretty close to 25 tubs full. Final 2 tubs of cauliflower. We'll get it all taken up to the barn, put on a pallet, and rolled into the cooler. All right, we are officially finished with the entire week's harvest of vegetables for this week's farmers markets on Saturday. I'm really happy with how the cauliflower and broccoli harvest turned out this week. We ended up with right around 50 tubs. So that's gonna be a great addition to this Saturday sales. This is where we're gonna wrap this one up, folks. As always, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed the content, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and I'll see y'all again real soon down the farm.